Well, welcome. It is on the hour. So thanks for coming. We thought we would. If you don't know Anna, Anna is on my team at Mastrius. She's an artist and a navigator, and she basically runs the whole company. And her and our team had talked about doing some more casual events at Mastrius, a little like instead of the webinar style to just show up in each other's spaces and spend some time together. So we thought we'd start by doing an AMA type event and see how it goes, and if it's useful, if you like it. The idea is that if we can keep doing it, that I would invite a mentor to join me, and then it's an ask us anything, or we can talk about whatever, right? So there doesn't have to be a topic. Like for our events are always topic based. Hey Lynn. And yeah, so just to keep it as though we were having coffee in each other's studios, keep it really casual and fun and short and sweet. Um, yeah, so I assume that you know a little bit about me. I am an artist and founder of Mastrius. I paint these wild, I don't have a great example, the line's pretty wild, but acrylic paintings, usually landscapes, but the mentors I'm working with at Mastrius are kicking my butt. And so I've been really pushed out of my comfort zone, which has been really good, very stretching and exciting. So, oh, I better open up the chat. Oh, Mike put a message in there. Mike is here somewhere. Oh, I just found a paintbrush in my pocket. I was just painting. It's like, what is this? Don't want it to dry and be ruined. Um, cool. Okay, so let's get going. If you have a question, feel free to turn on your microphone and or your video, or you don't have to, whatever you're comfortable with. You can pop it in the chat or just ask it outright. And really anything goes. Hi, Peter. You're muted, just so you know. And yeah, your comfort zone.
Hello.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right. So already I'm like, I want to ask you guys questions. Um, I'm not used to being in the hot seat. Anything that you want to start with? I can just start sharing a bit about my story a little bit. And then if something comes to mind, just throw it out there. We'll rabbit trail as long as you like.
Great.
Sounds
Super.
cool.
I have a question.
Yes,
Julie, before you start. How do you keep yourself, how do you show up in your studio and keep yourself motivated? Like, how do you show up and actually start painting? I have been pushing myself so hard since January 1st, and I show up and I clean and I make notes and I talk about goals, but I don't actually paint. And I just want to know if you have a trick.
Well, I don't know if it's a trick. I kind of have to kick myself in the pants sometimes because, for some people, they need to feel inspired to paint. But when I went full time and kind of decided I was going to make a go at this career thing, I couldn't wait for inspiration, right? So I got it was hard, but I just trained myself to treat it like a job, show up, have hours, paint even if I wasn't inspired, compose, sketching and planning even if I wasn't inspired. And you'd be amazed at how beautifully you can still create when you're not feeling it, just when you're just leaning on your skill and your know-how and your kind of own personal expertise that you have around your subject and your colors and what you know you can do. So that was a really good to develop that discipline of coming to my studio and doing the work. And I have the same problem, Lynn. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm a little bit thirsty. I'm just going to run upstairs and make some tea, grab a little snack, and then I come back down and I'm like, well, I probably should look at my emails. But yeah, there's 1,000 things that will pull us away. But once I get going, I love painting. It's just the getting going that's so hard. So then I just have to remind myself, just do it. You're going to love it and be glad that you did. And another thing I do is I have several projects on the go. So if one is upsetting me or frustrating me or I'm stuck, I don't want to wreck it. I used to be like, I had to finish a painting before I could start another one. I had to, but I often wrecked them because I didn't stop and just put it away. And as I've developed my own skill, earlier on, sometimes I'd have to look at a painting for weeks before I could go back to it and know what it needed. Now it doesn't take so long, but I learned I had to give myself those weeks. So I had to be having other projects on the go. Does that help?
Immensely. Thank
Oh.
you. It really does. And I love that. Put in office hours. Like, I like that. Put on my apron. That means I'm at work and let's get to work.
Yeah. And just pour paint and dive into it. I keep another little thing is when I'm done with my palette, if I still have gobs of paint, I spray it with water, cover it with saran wrap, and then it's like right there ready to go begging to be used because it'll dry out after a few days. So I have a little bit of pressure there when I've done that. Sometimes I like scrape it off and put it back in the thing because I'm cheap. But yeah, so that kind of helps. Like, oh, I already have this color palette poured. So, and that's for this painting. Yeah, I can see I can do a few things here. And then once I'm putting on music, I could just yammer on. This is easier than I thought. Put on music. It's something you can sing along to. If you need to get out of your head, put on a podcast that's really interesting so that you're not thinking about painting. It was someone in our group, Lynn, who suggested that. Who was that? Teresa? Or was it you? Teresa? Okay.
Teresa.
I'm in a mentorship group with Lynn. We're working with Ardith Goodwin. Yeah, so I had not thought of that. I always had music on or I had it quiet. But then sometimes I got too much into the painting and it became less fun because I was thinking about composition and color and shape and blah, blah, blah. And then Teresa suggested, oh, put on a podcast. So you actually have to be thinking about something else. And then I was just whipping out paint and painting while I'm doing more intuitively what I already knew how to do. Yeah, so that was really helpful. Hi, everyone. I see y'all sneaking in. You can turn on your video if you want. You don't have to. If you have a question, you can just turn on your microphone and ask or pop it in the chat.
I have a question.
Sure.
How do you go about choosing all your colors? Because I started something and I'm always changing colors on the canvas. It's like, come on. And I took out my iPad and I took a picture of what I had done. And I'm trying to modify the colors directly on my iPad instead of, like breaking my paint and doing like 3, 4, 5 coats on top of the other one because the color doesn't fit.
Yeah.
So how do you work about choosing all your colors? Do you set everything in advance or?
Yeah, so it depends at what point I've been at my journey. That has changed. Earlier on, I winged it. I don't recommend that unless you're like a really...
What do you mean? Winged it? I'm sorry, I don't understand the meaning of that word.
Yeah, it means I had no plan. I didn't even sketch anything down on paper.
That's dangerous.
I know it. I really had absolutely no training. I just bought some paints and canvases and went for it. So as I learned, then I started sketching in a sketchbook, just thumbnail sketches. And then later I started doing color on the sketches, or at least a color swatch where I'd kind of pick out a few colors. A few times I've done a little study, but I'm not that, I don't know, that's just really organized. I don't do that often. What I do now is I kind of have my color palette, and that develops with time. When I started, I picked colors that I loved. As I learned more about color theory, I was a little bit more intentional about my colors, and I've cut back more and more just to the primaries, and I'm learning how to build colors from scratch. a bit better because I felt my work was really vibrant for a lot of years, and I wanted to rein that in and control the vibrancy a bit better. And that helps to like mix your own green instead of buying green, although I totally support buying green. I'm all over it, like just buy it the color that you like. But over the years, my paintings all have a similar palette, so people can kind of recognize it for that as well. And what I love to do is pare down my palette even more so. So just to pick 3 colors and maybe a little bit of black and white. And then only allow yourself those colors for that painting, which is a really good exercise, especially if you are learning, that we're all learning, because then you have fewer decisions to make. Then you can just worry about your brush work and your flow and the story that you're creating. If you have many colors, then you have many decisions to make.
Yeah.
So really good exercises to pare down, like the lion behind me is just yellow, magenta, and purple. Hardly any black. 2 types of yellow, a warm and a cool, and that's it. And it's just a joy to paint because I have very few choices to make. So yeah, that's what I would suggest doing.
Good idea. Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoying the video? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when new Mastrius videos are added. Interrupt me, I'm just going to keep yammering on. The lion behind me, you might have seen me post a little bit about him on social media. I wonder if I can, okay, if I spotlight myself. So I'm going to just cover up the little person under there because I'm insecure. This is my first self-portrait, but I am not the lion. I am a little person underneath standing in front of this gigantic lion.
Oh.
I haven't done a self-portrait ever in my life. I've painted my kids, so she looks a little creepy still. She looks better when you're close up, but and she's not growing out of the lion's chest. I'm trying to help differentiate her a bit, but this is my first self-portrait. This is living out of my comfort zone. This is the posture that I take every morning before I start my day. I'm a person of faith, and the lion is God. And he says, if I'm for you, who can be against you? Who can stand against you? And I feel afraid basically with everything that we do at Mastrius because I have no training. I did not really design. I didn't really choose this. It just kind of fell in my lap. But it needs to be built and it needs to be done. So I'm very excited and fortunate to have that job, but it's really, really stretching and has been really, really uncomfortable over the years. So this is my mental sort of posture that I have to be in. Really awesome. Yeah. God refers to himself as the lion and the lamb. So maybe one day I'll do a lamb. But yeah, and he looks a little angry, which I like because he's on my side. But like just feeling, I can like feeling the heat of his back, you know, and his fur is kind of blending with mine, and he's like, bring it on, kind of attitude. I love it. I just love him. Anyways,
Beautiful.
thanks.
There is a question for you on the chat.
Oh, sweet. Okay, just scrolling back up. You must be incredibly busy. How do you manage painting, being in the Mastrius group, Mastrius and all events? Great question, Irene. It's tricky. Boundaries are this thing that I only recently learned about, which is funny because I don't know, I feel like people, like my kids know about boundaries and they have boundaries. It's a concept that I didn't really understand until my 40s. So this idea of me having to decide where I spend my time, and if you read my emails, who I say yes to, and when I say no, and being a people pleaser and a servant kind of person, as most women are, I think too, not to exclude men, but women often child rear and give and support a husband. And I did that also to be able to put myself first, although is really hard. Anyway, so I have had to learn to really guard my time well, and I still find it a challenge. So Tuesdays and Thursdays have been my studio days. Monday, Wednesday, Friday is full-time Mastrius, and then on the weekend they kind of battle it out. And then more recently, and that's been good. My team, I just tell my team, you know, I'm not available. They still message me constantly on those days. So I have to turn. Not Anna. Anna's awesome. I have to turn stuff off, right? Like, and put my phone away, and really honor my time, because it's important, and it's so easy to get pulled away with stuff that's urgent, that's louder, that appears to be more worky work, right? But I've learned that painting is, it's just essential for so many reasons, including that it's part of my design, and that's what I'm supposed to be doing because God designed me that way. So if I'm not doing that, I'm missing out on something that he really intended to be a blessing for me and for the world. And of course, with Mastrius, if I'm not a practicing artist, I think I lose a little bit of legitimacy there. I want to be part of the community too. I want to be getting mentored. I want to be growing and making friends and all that. So yeah, I've been really strict, and that has been hard. Like, my husband is our CEO and my business partner, and I have to say no to him all the time. And it can get messy, but it's good. It's good. It's been really good. He honors my time. It's just that there's so much to do. He just sometimes wants to sneak in. Oh, you know what? Another thing I did is I built a wall. My studio used to be open to the rest of the house. And I just like snapped one day and I said, I need a wall. For Christmas, I want a wall with a door that locks. and so what Mike did, Christmas was a month away or whatever, he built me a wall of mattresses and sleeping bags, because I actually have the kitchen is above. So the railing, he draped the sleeping bags down and put mattresses up so that I had a pseudo wall, because I was on the verge of mental breakdown. And then we built the wall. So sometimes you need physical boundaries too. Yeah.
There's some good questions in the chat.
Oh, great.
Some other ones, so just.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thanks for your comments. Thanks, Olive. And that comment, it's the most challenging part of being a mentor. Imposter syndrome, for sure. Yeah. I didn't do a ton of teaching before Mastrius. I did a little bit. It's a great way to learn, because you have to figure out what you're doing and why. And so it gives you a whole nother vocabulary and understanding. So I highly recommend teaching anyone. The hardest part is overcoming, the imposter syndrome, that I know anything better than anyone else. And so, yeah, and it's good because I'm learning, oh yeah, I did actually learn something in a decade and a half. And oh yeah, I actually do have this way of attacking paintings, and I have a process. And the more I'm kind of aware of what I'm doing, the better I'm actually able to do it, because I'm now aware of it instead of it just being a subconscious thing. It's like when I found my why, the reason why my artwork comes out so bold and flowy. I had no idea for 13 years why, and it was one of my mentors at Mastrius that helped pull it out of me. And once I figured it out, I could really pursue it intentionally instead of it being some accidental thing I was doing subconsciously. And that really evolved and pushed my work forward in an exciting way, because I was a little bit stuck. And so self-awareness and talking it through, and seeing why I do what I do and how I do it, and that's good and that is valuable. So yeah, that's probably been the hardest thing is imposter syndrome.
Can I add something, Julie?
Yeah.
It was really fun when we were planning this event. The team was like, yeah, it has to be called Ask Me Anything. And Julie was like, no, I don't like it. I don't like it. And I'm like, well, why don't you like it? Well, because it implies I know something. We're like, okay, it's the name. The name is Ask Me Anything. So,
Yeah, I was more comfortable with Q&A, but yeah, whew, I'm not comfortable in these shoes still. Okay, let me look at another question. You might also want to Mastrius team. Oh yeah, Mike is sending me private messages. Thank you, Mike. How can I best utilize my events membership? That's great. Karen, good question. The events membership, we recently renamed the base membership so that people can see it as kind of a first step into the community, because it kind of does open the door to a lot of things. So the events or base membership gets you into all of our weekly events for free, and also gets you access to the recordings, which you'll find in Mastrius chat. You'll also get all the perks of being a member, which include a discount on courses. So if you do want to take a course, do it while you have the events membership, just because you'll get that discount. Also, you get a discount on art supplies at TriArt. You get a My Studio space online, which is new. And if you haven't made use of it, definitely go in there and dabble around. There's some tools in there that are meant to support you as a growing, learning artist. So I would make use of that. And then really, you're also added to a Mastrius chat group for the event-based membership group, and I would lean into that too. So there's some mentors, Lynn, in there too, and you are in there.
I'm a navigator for the group, and there's a monthly group meeting, paint and chat for 2 hours, third Friday of every month. That's open to any members, but especially our events group members. So
Awesome.
you can communicate with us in the chat, share your art in the chat, use it as much as you would like.
Mm-hmm. And mentors will sometimes come to these events too. They're also looking for connection and community and feedback. Everyone's kind of trying to improve their work. So yeah, get networking as much as you can while you're here. Those networks and connections will be good. You'll learn a lot, even from artists who are at the same stage as you. I've learned enormous amount of stuff from the artists in my group, not just my mentors. Yeah, so I would just squeeze as much out of it as you can. I hope that answers your question. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How does it compare to My Studio? Like, what is the difference?
My studio and Mastrius chat. I can let me show you. And sorry.
The mentor group?
Yeah. Oh, the mentoring group?
Yeah, how is it different from My Studio?
Oh, like if you're in a mentorship group, do you mean? Or the mentorship groups chat?
I joined My Studio because I was taking a break. And is it the same as the mentor group?
Anna, help me out.
So when you do a base membership, you have access to the My Studio part, which is a more private, where you can keep track of your goals and your art and all those different things. But you're also part of the base membership, that what Lynn was talking about. You have a group that you belong to that has a navigator, but it has no mentor. Like there isn't, we still do kind of like a mid-month meeting that Lynn just said, a paint and chat. People come, and sometimes we choose a topic, sometimes we just paint, sometimes people just want to share artwork. It can be anything, but there is no session with a mentor. So that would be the difference.
Great. Thank you. This is the events Masters chat group. So this is where you can be connecting. This is where Lynn, you can see Lynn here, she's posting some stuff. So when there is a Zoom get together, she'll put it in here. You'll get an email. So you don't actually have to come in here and check. If you are a member in the group, you should get an email. If you're not, check your junk folder. And then you can come to these events and meet other artists and some of the mentors. And then you'll also get my studio, which is the more private space for you to, and this is what mine looks like. So you're, would the events membership show up in here, Lynn, Anna?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm still confused. I belong to my studio. Okay, and so would I automatically belong to my active membership group?
Okay, have you chosen a mentor to work with already?
No.
Okay, so you'll have to, if you want to be mentored by one of the Mastrius mentors, you'll have to register in one of their groups. So the base membership pays for the live weekly events, for being part of the chat group and getting my studio space, getting the discounts on the courses. So you're gonna get those kind of base membership perks. And then we really need a link here to the main page. And then when you're ready to choose a mentor, you're going to upgrade your membership into mentorship. So go to the how it works page to read up a little bit about the model and whatnot. And then when you're ready, go to choose your mentor. On here, you'll be able to figure out what stage you're at. So you just click the plus sign and read about it, figure out where you're at. If you're not sure still, you can take a quiz that'll help a little bit more. And then you'll see all of our mentors on this big, beautiful grid. And because we're growing and global, we have a lot. The way you're going to narrow it down is if you want to check out someone particular, you can pop their name in here and they'll pull up. So let's put in a Lynn. I know we have a few. And then you click on it to see the mentors page. And if you're not really sure who you might want to work with, you click open this purple filter, and then you can filter down to remove some of the options. So if you want to work with a master artist versus a professional. So I'm a professional artist mentor, whereas we have mostly master artists, and they have a minimum of 20 years of professional experience, and professionals only have 10 to 20 years. So you can choose which one or leave it open if you like, and then choose your stage, choose your medium or mediums if you have more than one. If you're coming to learn something very particular, you can pull it out here, although there's also generalists. So if you want technique, marketing, business, kind of the whole schmeal, choose that one. And then if you've limited time, etc. And this is going to start to really narrow down your selections. So now I'm already down to 8. And you just keep playing around with this filter until you feel, you can look at the mentor's work and whatnot. There's Ardith, there's Jean. So just click on the image and then you'll be brought to the mentor's page. And on this page, you're going to learn what they're all about. You can check them out, their website, Instagram, see images of their work. There's also their expertise. So our mentors choose these for themselves. We have 3 categories: technical, marketing and branding, and business. And they choose not just what they're great at, but what the areas that they want to focus in on. So if you're coming for business mentoring, you probably wouldn't work with Jean. But if you're coming for technical, she'd be a good fit, as long as she's doing your stage. And Jean has aspiring and emerging stage and an accomplished stage, which is 3 hours. Aspiring and emerging is 2-hour sessions once a month, plus a 1-hour mid-month session. And that's all on the How It Works page. If you read over that page, just to make sure you understand it. And then you can see the day it's a monthly session, what time it's at, and if that works for you, you can add it to the cart. And then the whole process gets going and you're going to be added to their Mastrius chat group. The navigator for that group is going to welcome you. You're going to be able to watch the last session and do the homework and get caught up and ready to go for the next session. And yeah, and then you're going to be part of that group, and that's a maximum of 8 artists in that group with the navigator and the mentor. We try to keep them small. And they're really, really, really lovely and impactful. Does that answer your question, kind of, sort of?
Not really, because I'm not explaining it properly.
Okay.
It's Julie, I'll reach out to Lorraine through the events membership and we will talk. Is that good, Lorraine?
That's fine, but I just, I have been part of I have been mentored. And I was taking a break.
Okay.
And I was getting confused when you were talking about being this group. What I asked was, and I might as well just leave it.
But I'll reach out to you, Lorraine, and we can talk and get your specific question answered. Would that work for you?
Yeah.
Well, sorry, Lorraine. Thank you, though. Let me see. When you first started Mastrius, did you build both the events membership and mentorships, or did you start with one first and then expand? What did we do? Yeah, we started with just mentorship groups, and then we started doing an event once in a while, and then it was once a month, I think. And then I don't know, I don't even remember, Anna. And then we started doing them every week. I'm not sure when that started. And then we realized that people joining the community right into mentorship group was a little bit intimidating. And so we said, okay, why don't we make this first step membership so they can at least come to the events and be learning and checking out our mentors and getting, a taste for the community. And then they could go into a mentorship group. Yeah, so that was, if I'm remembering correctly, we just kind of built it as we were just testing and seeing what worked. Yeah. How did you find my why? My why? That's Heather. Where's Heather?
How do you find the why?
Is there another group? Oh, there's Heather. Sorry. How did I find my why? It's a great story for me. Yeah. So my mentor, Melissa Galazzi, what she had me do as my homework one month was to prepare a bit of a presentation, just a visual presentation, like a PowerPoint, on all of my work from the earliest that I had any recollection of. And then just showing images of my work right through to current, and then to be kind of talk through the story of what I was drawing as a kid, and then I got into photorealist drawing as a teenager. Had a really good art teacher in high school that really encouraged me, and then as an adult I started doing commissions in drawing, always hyper realist, and then yeah, so then I showed kind of the whole story of my art journey. And for other artists, like it could include, doing sculptures or music or whatever. And then I got to the end and I finished. And then my group told me what they saw, what threads they saw running through my work from the start to the finish. And it was the most eye-opening feedback I've ever had, because I knew my work was flowy and bold and whatnot, and I had resisted that for years, but they saw stuff that I never would have seen. So my mentor, she didn't even speak. She made the rest of the group speak first, and they found some themes, and then she spoke and shared what she had seen. And I should really pull up my notes on that. What had all come together was when I was a kid, I used to dance around the house. I was twirling and dancing and singing. I played musical instruments. When it was summer, I would do like rhythmic gymnastics on the front lawn. My dad got me like a 1x1 and stapled a surveyor's ribbon to it, like we were poor country bumpkins. And my sister and I went to rhythmic gymnastics as a kid. And I wanted to take dance classes. I had friends in dance and I made them teach me everything that they knew, but I wasn't able to take dance classes. And so what I think happened was it actually got repressed a little bit because I couldn't, and then school and then high school, and I never pursued it. And so it ended up when I started painting, it like burst out of me in this flowy, bold, rhythmic, lyrical sort of style. I was like, whoa, I don't think so, lady. And so I actually fought it for a few years. And then finally, after 2 years of that, I'm like, okay, fine, I'll try to just paint the way it wants to come out of me, because I was getting nowhere fast. And as soon as I did, everything came together. I started selling and got gallery representation and all of that, which were some of my goals. So yeah, it was looking way back and having other people look too, because I don't think I would have seen it. Yeah. Interesting story, hey?
Mhm.
And now I'm trying to, to honor that and pursue it and see what more I can get out of that repression. It's a good repression. Oh, okay, another big one here. And that was speaking more to my style, actually, just to think if I'm answering your question properly, and my why too. If I can speak more to my why, I'll just look at Christy's comment question here. Hi, Christy. How did you transition from one style to another, and in that process address it with your audience and such as well? How do you time block your day for best practices and efficiency productivity? Cool. We talked a little bit about the second question. Transition from one style to another. I can't say that I've really done one style to another. My style has morphed and changed slowly with time. And everyone, like collectors and galleries, all just come with you when that happens. I never kind of stopped doing one thing and started doing another thing. And some artists do that successfully. I think it's a little bit more challenging when you have collectors and galleries who are kind of counting on you painting a certain way. That said, you should do whatever the heck you want, because it's your life and career, and if they don't like it, that's okay. Yeah, so yeah, I would say that my transition was slow enough that everyone came along with me. There have been times where I wanted to start from scratch again, especially after all I've learned at Mastrius, because the way I started, I just wish that I had explored more when I was starting out, and I didn't. I kind of found one thing that worked, and the only experience I had with artists was my mom, who was a commercial career artist, who painted kind of the same subject theme for 40 years and made a great career of it. And that was my only really real exposure to it. So that was kind of how I thought it was supposed to be. And I got very bored and very stuck and very unhappy. Anyways, that's a different story. And then the time blocking I talked earlier about, and I think the recording will be up for you to watch. It probably will go on YouTube, so you can watch that. But about discipline and about being really protective of my time, and taking on the philosophy of, if my answer is not a heck yeah, I want to join you and help you with this thing or do that or whatever that takes me out of my studio, that my answer has to be a heck no. So I had to learn how to not say yes to everything, to have boundaries, to be comfortable saying no and letting people down. And then when I'm in my studio time, just getting to work, making myself do it. And once I get started, then I'm good to go. And that you can paint when you're not inspired. You can compose when you're not inspired. You know how to do it. You don't need to, don't need to feel the, what's it called? The jam, I don't know. Yeah. And then finding my why too, delve into that a little bit. Yeah, my why for years had been because I want to make a career and sell artwork and have an income. And then I learned at Mastrius that there's actually a much deeper thing happening, and I had never really explored that. And so it's been really incredible to dive into that stuff and realize that, like for me, it's a calling. I think that God gives us gifts, and it's not that we have to use them. They're gifts, right? You can use them, you can throw them away. It doesn't matter. It's a present. But that if you do use it, that he's going to make the most of it. So there's always a purpose to everything. And the theme also that my group saw in my work when I showed them that kind of timeline was the light versus the darkness. Was definitely a theme throughout. High contrast, also getting really close up to tiny things, making tiny things large, and then making large things tiny. So like tiny house on the horizon versus a poppy head where you're like right in the head. So this sort of perspective, and then light versus darkness, those themes, and then understanding that, yeah, that makes sense as a person of faith, that I look closely at life and what's happening, and I delve into the deep. And I also have this grand perspective that there's more to this life than this part of it, that and all of that. So yeah, that's developing, I think, too, and the impact that has in people's lives too, that if I continue to honor that it will have the impact it needs to have. And that's not really any of my business. That's more for them to enjoy or whatever. Okay, let's see. Christy, thank you. With regards to your studio time blocking, non-negotiable time, could you elaborate on how you allocate your time blocks within studio time? Okay, trying to figure out balancing between all the hats. Yeah, as far as studio and all the stuff there. God is good and faithful, Christian artist, that's cool. And the light versus dark is a theme in my work too. That's so cool. So good to hear that. Yeah, you bet. I have learned I can't really not be authentic. I just can't do it. Anyway, so time blocking within studio time. I'm probably not the best at that, but advice that I should be taking that I've learned is, if you really despise the business piece, which might be social media, it might be your taxes, it might be replying to emails or galleries, or organizing your sales and logging your artwork, whatever that might be. It's to set a timer and to really restrict that time, so it's not always hanging over your head. So if you're a person who likes to do the work first so that you can just relax and have fun and paint, some people are wired the opposite, where they need to be creative first thing in the morning and then do the work later. So just knowing what works best for you, and then limiting the time that you're doing the unpleasantness. So if business is 1 hour every morning that you're in your studio, or if it's from 12 to 1 o'clock or whatever it might be, then just be really strict about that. And if you're not done the work, that's okay. You just put it away. You did what you could. You can't get everything done all the time. Stuff will have to fall off your plate, and that's okay. And same with social media. Try not to get sucked into it, which, yeah, same sort of thing. If you can do something in 10 minutes, that's probably plenty of time. If you're spending 2 hours doing a post, and I've done that, it's probably not a good use of your time. And those reels don't actually do as well. the ones that you spend less time on do way better anyways. So yeah, I would say time blocking with a timer. That's what works for me anyways. And then just being really strict around it and let stuff fall off your plate. That is okay. You'll learn what how to prioritize things so that the important stuff doesn't, but I hope that's helpful. And if anyone else has tips, tricks, advice, please turn on your microphone and share. Yes, so there's another question that came in about my studio wall. Yeah, I love it. Let me spotlight it here. So my studio is about, I don't know, 20 by 25 by 15 feet or something like that. It's not massive. It's a decent room. And because my work is large, I used to have like 3 easels in here, and I would do triptychs or like 3 easels to hold one giant painting. It was terrible. And then I had a drop cloth on the floor that I was tripping over all the time. And that's another time I snapped and and said, Mike, I need to get rid of the easels. And so I had seen another artist at Mastrius had gotten this. This is a Mastercraft product from Canadian Tire. It's for garages. And she had a little section on her wall or something like that. And when I finally had enough of tripping over the easels and the wires, because I also had lights on stands. So I had 2 big lights on stands, so these cords everywhere, and the drop cloth and 3 easels. I probably would have accidentally killed myself. I got rid of all of it. And so the wall it's like a plastic, and it's slats, and then it has space for hooks that look like this. So they kind of just pop in and then sit. And there's different types of hooks. There's thicker ones with grippiness and whatnot. And the sections are 4 by 4 feet. So a square. So I got like 4 or 5 sections and did the whole wall right across my studio. And so now I can have long paintings. I can have many projects going. I can have triptychs lined up perfectly. And I have all the space on the floor. I got better lighting on my ceiling, so you can't really see it. So I don't use light stands anymore. And I got rid of the drop cloths and just paint all over the place, and I don't care. Just a decision I had to make at some point. So Mastercraft at Canadian Tire, and if you're not from Canada, there's probably something similar at a store that's made for garages. You can also build them. I've seen people build them just with wood slats, and then figure out, you probably have to look for hooks or doilies or what are they called? The little round pegs. So I've seen people build them too. But yeah, super helpful. Oh, Mike shared the product. Awesome. Yeah, I think when I bought them, they were about $100 for a 4 by 4. So it adds up a bit. But like Anna, you have one section, right? Yeah, I've seen, and you don't really have to go higher than the 4 feet, because you can put hooks right up to the top if you want something really high up. So you don't really need to do all the way up your wall. It's a dream. And it looks like a kill room because I painted pink. Oh. All right. Cool. Any other questions? I want to be mindful of your time too. Would you like to see, like we were talking about doing this again, but having a mentor join me, sort of AMA, ask us anything, and then you can just pelt questions at different mentors. Would that be fun? no theme, no topics.
Yes, let's do that.
I know. I'm excited to put them in the hot seat and say, sorry, there's no prep. You just have to bring your A game.
And you can also give us suggestions for who. Like if you work with a mentor that's really cool and has talked about, and you want to see that person, yeah, would love to know.
Yeah, for sure.
Or if you are curious about someone that you've seen but you don't know anything about, then let us know too.
Heather Pant.
Pant, yeah.
Oh, a watercolorist. Okay, cool. Kristen, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it's fun. It's nice just it's one of the reasons why I wanted to build Mastrius. Actually, my dog is scratching at the door. Hold on a sec. Was because access to master artists was so hard. Like you go to a workshop, but that's not really great access, right? Because you don't have a lot of time to ask questions. And if you do, it just takes up too much time and you're there with so many other people. Anyway, and it's just so easy to get access now, and they're so wanting it too. They want to answer questions and help and give back and all of that. So it just makes sense. Thank goodness for Zoom, one of the blessings of COVID, that we all know how to use that now. Best lighting, struggling in winter. Yeah, winter is tough, Rhonda, for sure. I have spotlights and I have LED strips. I actually copied Anna. She's got great lighting in her studio. And I just mix up cool and warm bulbs. I actually did research and spent a lot of money on really fancy bulbs that were the right kind of temperature, kind of the middle daytime. And just realized, oh, if I just mix warm and cool bulbs all over, then it'll level out. And sometimes the light changes a little bit during the day. I do have windows in my studio, and I just embrace it. If it changes my painting, then it changes my painting. And that's okay. Yeah. And I think I've heard Doug Swinton say that he likes to paint in dim light because the painting is going to end up in someone's house that's not properly lit. So he wants to make sure it looks good, which is like, hey, that's a really good point. Too funny. Okay, seeing all these names. Thank you, Laurie Meebor. Yeah, best lighting, studio tours. Yeah, we have another event of studio tours coming up in February, I think, Anna. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, those are fun for sure. All right. Well, anything else? Who is brand new to Mastrius? Like, not, are you brand new, Anna? Cool. Peter, awesome. And Karen, Christy, cool. I'm glad that you guys came. Is there anything else I often do tours of the website, but I did that already. Any other questions? Mentorship is kind of a hard concept that we're working hard to try to explain better. Like, because it's not like a course where you're going to learn A, B, C, and D, right? But mentorship is so impactful because the workshop model is great for sure, but it's just a download of information, right? The mentor is teaching their technique or kind of everything that they know and why they do what they do then, and sometimes even teach you how to paint like they paint, which is helpful when you're learning, but at some point you have to paint like you paint and make that transition and find your style. And so mentorship is a little bit different, where they're taking all of their knowledge and expertise, but picking out what you need to know for where you are at your stage and to help you reach your goals, which are going to be a little bit different than if you're aspiring, is going to be different than an emerging artist. And that really, and how to integrate what you're learning into the work that you're doing that's different than theirs, right? Because you're going to have a unique body of work. You might be painting a different subject. You might even be in a different medium. You'll certainly have a different style that is developing. So mentorship more curates the teaching, so it's really relevant to you. And you can actually ask for, well, I want to learn about this now, and then they can spend the next session diving into that. And you can revisit topics as many times as you need. The workshop model I found when I took them, I was so excited, and I get back to my studio and be like, I have no idea what to do now because my work is so different, and within a few weeks I would forget half of what I learned. And it was so hard to integrate. Anyway, so this monthly model kind of slows down the teaching, breaks it up into smaller pieces, but it actually accelerates your learning and growth because you have the whole month to put into practice what you're learning before you get the next piece of teaching. And then you always get feedback on the work you did as well, and time for questions, so that you're not just kind of trying to figure it out on your own. Anyway, so that's the best way that I explain it, if that's helpful. When will the next Masters Art Show be? That is a great question, Amanda, and one I do not have the answer to, but we are working on it. We had a meeting last week about the art show, and we're having, is it this week, Anna, Friday? Another meeting this week, Friday, trying to figure that out. It's a tough market, online art sales, and so we're trying to find a way that does it in a Mastrius way that's set apart. Yeah. But it's fun. It's exciting to, especially for our aspiring artists who haven't sold before, haven't been in a show before. It's pretty awesome. Oh, you're starting David's group. David's so great. He was my mentor that we launched Mastrius with. I don't know if you know that, Christy. So that's cool. Have fun with them. Say hello. How long does it take to from your art? Oh, like to make a career of it, Manon? Yeah, that depends how determined you are.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, yeah, it depends how much time and the business part. Some people are really good at that, and some people really need a lot of support to figure that out. I was full-time for a few years, not a lot of years, because it turned out full-time isn't really my jam. I prefer to have 2 different jobs. So what I have now is working quite well. It depends what your goals are too. Do you want to be gallery represented, or do you want to sell on your own? That might change the pace as well. And depends what your expenses are. Like I always had a Mike's income to lean on, so I didn't have the burden of carrying the full financial burden. So yeah, that's a hard question to answer. It can be done. I know artists that make $1 million plus a year. I don't know what David makes. I'm sure it's several hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And the longer you're doing it, the more you can ask for your work as well. If you live in the US, you probably make twice as much as you do if you're in Canada. So that really makes a difference too. And your living expenses are probably half as much. So it's like quadrupling your income. Yeah, but it can be done, absolutely. If you know you're not great at something, get the support so you can learn that really quick, because there's definitely lots of ways to make the business side easy, and even, apps and different websites that help you organize and automate some stuff so you're not wasting a lot of time.
Can I add another question?
Sure.
Do you really have to be specialized in one medium or one style? Because I do watercolors, I do acrylics, and I try all sort of things. I know that I've been told, and I've read that you need to have a smaller to be specialized, and you do less things in order to get known. Is that right? Or because
Yeah,
I have to cut down many places
yeah, it, you
and
know,
it's hard.
it kind of is true, not to say that it has to be, but if you want to move fast and build your career fast, then I would hone in and kind of master your style and maybe one subject matter or two tops. And then,
Okay.
yeah, and then you're going to be known for that. And it's like building your brand, which galleries need from you as well. But it
Okay.
doesn't mean that you need to stay there. Once you kind of start getting your name known and getting a base of collectors, then you can start kind of going off in different directions and exploring things. Just not too quickly. Try to take them with you. I have seen artists who have painted one thing for 20, 30 years and then start doing abstracts or pottery as well. And I see them struggle a bit because they lose a little bit of their collectors over here because they're spending time doing something that those collectors aren't interested in. So
Mhm.
yeah, you kind of have to decide what you want. If you really want to sell and make it a career, then I would hone in. Just be mindful of being pigeonholed, that it's hard to, you like get a little bit stuck in a rut. I got stuck and I started hating painting because I was so bored and I didn't know what to do. And I had no one speaking into my life and helping me to figure it out. So just be aware that that can happen. So even if you're
Okay.
doing like your painting and selling your acrylics and you're doing your watercolor as your free time or on the weekend, something where you're just playing and having fun so that you keep the juices, so you can still do what you want and maybe not put it in front of your collectors or your galleries,
Mhm.
and have the one voice. Yeah.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
know. It sounds like people say you're selling out, you're selling out. It's like that was my goal, was not to sell out.
Mhm.
My goal was to be a career artist, and it's
Yeah.
just building a brand and being consistent. You can do it other ways. It just will probably take longer if you want to make a career of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, guys. All right, so it is at the next hour, so we'll call it quits there. Thank you so much for coming. It was lovely spending time with you. And yeah, if you like this format, then Anna and I will plan another AMA and invite one of the mentors to join, and then you can come and pelt them with questions. That'll be a lot of fun.
It'll be fun.
Yes, it will. All right. And you'll probably get a survey that will pop up. Feel free to put more suggestions in there for mentors, or whatever. If you liked this event, let us know. If you didn't think you liked it, let us know. We can handle it too. Feedback is always helpful. Appreciate it. And welcome to
Thank you so
Mastrius
much.
for the newbies. Yeah. Don't be a stranger. Come Thursday to our demo, and next week, always doing something. Nice to meet you.
Great. Thank you. Same here.
Thanks, guys.
Bye,
Thanks,
bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.